Hi guys, it's Antoine. As some of you might know, I have been practicing Roux for a little bit. I am far from an expert, but I thought today that I could go through some walkthrough solves, both to share with you guys some, what my solutions look like, which might be useful for some to learn from if you're just starting with Roux, and also at the same time to invite people to critique my solutions and to give me some advice to help me improve in the future. So I have a few scrambles, and I'm gonna go through them with you, and I'm going to try and essentially verbalize every single thing that I'm looking at, what I'm thinking about, so that you really get a very clear idea of what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. I'm gonna go through, especially for a long time in inspection, to try and look ahead as far as possible and show you what I'd be looking through. Now that inspection is going to be, of course, more than 15 seconds, and I'm going to be looking through more than I would be able to look through in 15 seconds, because at the moment I'm trying to practice looking to essentially more or less as much as possible. So yeah, I'll go through a lot, and it's going to be probably a fairly long video. So stick with it if you are interested in these solves. So a quick note before starting is that I actually do red-orange Roux, so red-orange bottom. I know at first I started doing color neutral, but in the end I realized that it's really bad for recognition, especially when doing really in the entire solve it's really bad for recognition doing fully color neutral, and dual color neutral seems to give most of the advantages of being color neutral because you can take advantage of most of the blocks anyways. So I think that being dual is definitely enough. So the first thing that I'd be looking for is blocks of any kind, really. Either looking for 2x1, which is done in this scramble, or looking for a block where you have a piece that has red or orange, which has the other color that is connected to its center. So for example, this one here, in fact, this here that's connected is not important at all. But these here, and then some which can be done within one move. So for instance here, this can be done in one move. I just do D2. This one is the same thing. This one, however, is not. This one is not. This one's already good, and this one is as well. But in this case, usually what I'll do is I'll focus on one which is already solved, and then see what the solution looks like for that. And if it's good, then I don't have to really look at anything else. I just focus on this one. Otherwise, if I immediately see it's not good, then I'm going to try and look for other ones. So I'll just first take a look at this one. So I've got this one is here, and then immediately I look, and the front here would be green, which you can obviously see by the centers, and the back would be blue. So I look for these pieces. I've got the edge, which is here, and the corner, which is here. And I'll immediately see that I can pair these two up by doing a U2. And then the other one is the edge and corner, which is the yellow-green here, and the red-yellow-green here. So if I wanted to solve these, the solution wouldn't be too amazing. So I would do here, I would do the U2 as I said, and then I would do F2, R2, B2. I could also do it kind of like doing F2, I'll also do like a L prime, L prime, U, L2, U prime, L prime kind of thing. Or I could just translate it into so first the U2, and then essentially F, R2, B prime, which is essentially the same thing as the F2, R2, B2, but instead of doing two moves, R2, essentially just do U and U prime. So like this, F, F, and then R2, and then B prime like this. So now I'm going to take a look at how that would affect the other two pieces, which are here. So if I do the F2, U2, so if I do the U2, F2, R2, B2, U2, F2, R2, B2, then I look at this. The U2 would first bring this piece here, and what I usually do is I look at the piece that is on the side, and I'll point to it with my finger. So this is the yellow here, yellow is on the side, so yellow goes here with the F2, with the U2. And then I'm going to do F2, doesn't affect it. R2 will bring it here. And then, F2, so U2, F2, R2 brings it here, and then B2 doesn't affect it. So that means that the yellow will now be here. Now for the corner, essentially the moves at the beginning will not affect it at all because it is at the back here, but it'll only be the B2 which will affect it, and it'll bring it here. So then what I have is I have the yellow-green edge here, and the red, which will be here with the green on top. So yellow is here, red in the back with green on top. So this, because this is yellow, green is on top, I know that this is yellow as well. So if I wanted to pair this up, what I could do is I could do an R prime and then UR2 U prime, which would pair it up as a pair right here, and then I could do an F2. So that is one of the solutions. Another solution, keep in mind that the red is here, right? Green on top, yellow here. I've got yellow on the side, green on the bottom. Okay, so what I can do, I've got yellow matching here. What else I can do is if I do an R and then F to bring it here, so yellow will be on the bottom here. And yellow on the bottom means that if I do an F, it'll be solved in place. And so what I can do is I can bring the corner in this position beside the edge, which will be here, and then do an F move to solve it in place. So that all together, for that pair would look like, so the corner is here, edge is here. So if I do R, F, so R would bring the corner down here, and then I would do F. So what I would have to do if I wanted to essentially pair it up with this edge, it would actually not be all that nice. I would have to do an R prime again to bring it at the back, and then I have to do a U to bring it here, and then an R prime, which would bring it at this position, and then an F. All right, so I've got a few different possibilities, and so what I will then do is I will see how those different possibilities affect my first edge of the second block. So because essentially ideally what you'd want to look ahead to in inspection is the first pair, is the first block as well as the first edge on the other side. And ideally what I want to do is go through all of the different possibilities. Of course, we don't have all that much time. So far I've looked at the edge here doing the U2, F2, R2, B2. And I think that I'll stick with that for now because I'm already pretty invested in it, so that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, so if I do this, so I will look at how this edge moves. So the first one, I'm gonna put my finger here on the red. All right, so the red first I do U2, right? So U2, so we'll go in the back here. And then I do an F2, doesn't affect it, R2 doesn't affect it either, B2, it will be on the bottom here. Now if I remember correctly, I have my red corner, which is now here, and the edge, which is on the side here. And what we'll see what happens if I do the first solution that I mentioned. So I do the R prime first, U, R2, U prime doesn't affect it at all. In fact, none of that affects it at all anymore because it's completely RUB. And then if I think about the other solution, in fact, so the second solution was still with the corner here, the edge here, and then it was just RF, put the edge here, corner here, R prime, U prime, R prime, F. In fact, it's exactly the same thing. So the edge will be on the back here, and so I know that when I'm done the block, I'll have to do a wide R2, and then I will have to do a U prime, and then R2 to solve it, but at that point I won't actually necessarily do the R2. I might have to do another move before that to see if I can try and affect the two pairs coming up ahead. So let's just go and do that right now. So as I said, finger trick, first I'm going to hold the cube like this so that I can do R2, so the U2 here, and then, hold the cube like this, right? U2, R2, U2, F2, R2, B2, and then I'm doing the first solution that I mentioned. So this R prime U, R2, U prime, F2. Now, as I predicted, the red is here, so I'm going to just go here and do the R2. And while I'm doing this, really, I'm looking at the pieces for the second block, right? So I'm doing the R2 like this here, and then looking at the corners and edges for the second block. So really what I see is these two, right? And so essentially, at this point, I have to make a choice. When I put this edge in, I have to do if I want to do a wide R2 or if I want to do a simple R2. In this case, I see that the edge is here, and the other edge is here, so I'm just going to do a regular R2 so that this stays within my line of vision. So I'll do the R2 like this, and then I'll do this essentially like in the same way as you do with F2L, like this. And then for the next pair here, I've got these two here, and what I would do for that is I would do a wide R prime to bring it at the bottom, so that I can just do an M2, so I'd U prime, and then this is blue on the bottom, and blue on the top, so that I know that I can do an M2, right? And then in this case, I'm going to do a R prime here, U, and then I'll do an R move to bring it up like this, so that the M layer is good. Now we'll just do the same thing as this. So the CMLL, which is the same thing as the COLL. And at the same time, I'll notice that I have two edges here which need to be flipped. So I'll keep that in mind. Right, so like this, and then I'll have to do what's it called? The EOLR. In this case, let me see if I could think if I remember it. Yeah, so it's like this. So I go like this and essentially split these apart so that I have this misaligned centers case, and then I solve them like this. When getting to this point, I'll just do an M2 to solve it, and then an M, and then I have this case here, like this. So that is the first scramble. It took 10 minutes. Now let's go for the next one. Alright, so when I first pick up this cube, I noticed that the yellow cross is pretty damn good. So I've got this cross here, and then I've got the F2L part, but okay, no, I'm not doing CFOP, I am doing Roux in these solves. So what I have to look for is Roux, okay? So what I said I was looking for, first is if I have a 2x1 block, which I do in this case. So that's perfect, so that's the first thing that I'm going to look at. At this point, I'm not really even going to bother looking at other things. That's really the block that I'm going to concentrate on. There are no other blocks, so that's what I'm going to look at. So this one, so I've got, this is orange at the bottom, green and yellow. And so what I have in this case, usually what I would do is I would put it on the left, just like this. So just looking at this block, and I will put this block on the left like this. If it was the corner on the back which was solved, I would still put it on the left like this, and disregard the centers for now. And then what I would do is I would look for this edge, so the green and yellow edge, which in this case is here. And now what I would do is I would try and find a way to get the green of this green-yellow edge aligned with the center. And then once it's aligned with the center, I will use a wide move to then put it in the correct location. In this case, we are blessed with an amazing scramble, in which this is already done, and you just need one move to put it into place. So just one move, and this block here is completed. So that is absolutely amazing. And so I will just directly go ahead and look at the second piece. All right, so the second one is actually right here, because the next one, this would be green and then white in the back. So I have orange, white, green here, and the edges here. Now this is again very simple. So I have the white on the top and the white on the bottom. And in that case, the color is the same on the top and the bottom, so I know I have to do an M2 to pair them up. If the color on the bottom and the top is not the same, then I know I have to do either an M or an M prime to pair them up, given they're on the M layer. So if I do a U, then this essentially moves to the back here. This orange moves to the back, and the white. And the white is on the bottom, and I want to pair it up with the corner. So it's here, so if I want to pair these two up, essentially I have to do another U to get the corner here, and then I can just do an M2 and pair them up. And so I have orange here, right here, and then I'll have white and green and this pair right here. Now to solve it, the pair is here. I will do a wide R, B prime, and it's solved. So that is pretty amazing. So it's a total of one move here, a U wide, and then U, 2 moves, and then 3 moves in M, 4 R wide, and 5 back wide. Very simple block. So now I will look at the edge, and in fact the edge is already, okay, no, sorry, this is not the edge. So the edge that I will have to look for is the orange blue, which is right here. So I will track it. So the orange is right here. And then what I will do is first I have to do the U wide. So the orange will then find itself here, right? And then I have to do U, that doesn't affect anything. And the M2 doesn't affect anything either. And then I will do to insert the pair, which is in the back here, I would do an R wide prime, B prime. Now that is actually not that good because the orange was here. I do the R wide prime, it goes here, and then B prime doesn't move. So essentially I'll have the this piece here flipped in place. So I'll see if there's any way that I can modify my solution a little bit so that the edge is not flipped in place. So I think I'll see if maybe doing the last pair, if there's any way that I can improve that. So when I did the last pair, I did R wide. I'm going to do R wide and then B prime, which takes the edge from here to the bottom. Now, I think it's a little bit better if it's in this position, and in fact, once I have the pair on the back here, what I can do is essentially do L, U prime, L prime, which will not affect this corner, but it will have it essentially just in this back slot here, and then I can just do an R wide prime U and then R2 to solve it. So I think that's slightly better, and I think that's what I will go for. So now to execute it, very, very simple. So once again, this U here, right? And then U again, M2 like this. And then I will essentially do L and then L prime instead of just R. Essentially it's the same thing really, it's just there's an extra move at the end. And then I will be putting this edge here. And then I'll be looking for the other pieces at the same time. So in fact, what I noticed here is these two here. So these two made a pair, and so instead of just doing R2 here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the pair. So like this, right? And then I will have this pair here, but I insert it in the back. And then I also noticed, amazing, this other one is here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and write around like this and insert it. So this is actually an amazing scramble for the two blocks, very, very efficient. So now for the CMLL, this is the anti-soon. So I'm just going to go ahead and do CMLL. Now for the EOLR, for this case, I've got these two here. So so it's like this. Essentially you get these two edges like this, and then match up the blue here, like this, like that, and solved. So that was a very good scramble and a very good solution. For this scramble, looking quickly over it, there is not any super obvious blocks like there was in the last scramble. The most obvious thing is this orange here, which is a good orange piece here. And there isn't really, I guess there's a red here as well. I am always partial to orange, so I'm going to just take a quick look at orange first, and then maybe check out red if there's anything, if the first one doesn't seem very good. So I've got these here. Orange, white, blue, and this one is here. And then so what I first have to do is I have to figure out is white on the front or is white on the back, right? So what I kind of the simplest way that I found it to be to figure out which goes where, you can either look at like a corner here, like if you can either know the color scheme, or you can look at a corner. So here the orange is on here, the blue is here, so white has to be in the front. Or like you can do centers and imagine that this is red, has to go on the top, and so the white would come on the front here. However you want to figure it out. So white is on the front anyways. And so what I wanted, so I've got these two here. And I mean, it's not all that good. If I think like boring, if I think good old CFOP, what I could think of is just like take this edge up, R2, R prime, U2, R, and then insert it. That's not very efficient, so I won't do that. What I could do though is essentially do here, I've got the blue here. If I put the blue on the bottom, right? So I can essentially put the blue on the bottom, and then it's one move to solve it. So put blue on the bottom, and the orange goes here. Essentially do a U prime and an R2F. So that's not too bad. And then I'll look in the back here. That's, I don't know, this is not a huge fan of this type of position, so I definitely will not do it first. If I wanted to do it, essentially what I'd do is, I guess I would do like an R prime. R prime, bring this down, blue on the top, and then blue is here as well. And then I could match these up with a B2, U prime, and then a B. But I think I like the other one a little bit better. But at this point, I see that this block is kind of like average. It's not super good, not super bad. I'm just going to take a quick look at the other block because it might be a little bit better. So here, red, and then so white is on the front again. So I'm going to look for the red, green, white, and red, green, yellow. So I've got the green, white here. Okay, so that is not all that good either. What I'd have to do is like do a U move to bring this here, and then R2, a U2, and then once I do the U2, then these are paired up here, and then I do R prime, U, F prime to bring it in this position. And then, okay, what's the other one look like? Where is this piece? Okay, so it's here. If I do it first, then it's not very good. But if I do it second, yeah, it doesn't look like it would be all that good either, because if I think here, this goes here, this edge will go here, and then, so essentially this one won't move until I do the F move at the end, because it's in this position. So what I would do is this one, the green would go here, and then R2, U2 goes here, and then it's an R prime, and then an F prime, so the green is here in the front, and then this will be green here, and then I could do, yeah, it's U2, R2, get the pair, and then put it in the back. I think I'm going to look for the other one anyways. The other one seemed to be slightly better. So I'll just take a quick look at what the second pair would look like after I do this first pair. I think I'm going to do this as a first pair. So I do F, as I said earlier, so do an F. So yeah, so F, and then this is going to move here or in the front, U prime, R2, F. Okay, and then I'll see how this moves. How this moves rather. I know that this corner will not move because I'm just doing RUF moves, and this is in the LB slot. So I know that this edge will move around a little bit, and that's kind of what I want because it's not all that good in this position. So that's why I'm going to choose it as the second one. So first move here, as I said, is F, won't affect it. U prime won't affect it either. And then R2, so this yellow here will go here when I do the R2, and then F. Okay, that's even worse, but though that's the way the things are. So the yellow's at the bottom here, and then what I'll do is essentially be like I'll do the inefficient C-fop for this one, I think. So yellow is on the bottom here, and then what I'm going to do is like a wide R2 and then a U prime. So wide R2 to bring it here, and then yeah, I mean I could do the same as I was thinking. Yeah, so yellow will be here, put it here, and then essentially U prime, and then so if you got the yellow here, yellow on top, essentially it's just the L, U prime, L prime, U, L, U prime, L prime kind of thing. So that's I think what I'll do. Now I'll take a look at the other edge. So my solution was first starting off with a, what was it again? Right, so first starting off with the F move. So I'll go here, U prime doesn't affect it. R2, orange goes here. F will not affect it either, right? And then what I have next is the wide R2, or M2 could also be, depending what I want to do. I think in this case I'll just do a wide R2. It's a little bit more finger tricky, and this either being here or here probably won't make anything much different. And then what I have to do essentially is UL, and that will not affect it anymore. So it's just gonna be here, and then I know that the first edge piece from the second block is going to be here, and I can just do like a wide R, U prime, R prime, etc. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. Finally, after all this talking, so I said F first, so I can probably like pick it up and go like this for the F move, like this, U prime, and then R2, F, and then as I said, yellow's here, R2 like this, and then just do this like RU kind of thing, RU, and then this ends up, I mean, if I ended up doing the last L move, then it would end up here as I had predicted, but in fact, yeah, I don't actually have to do the last L move, so it's going to end up here, basically the same. And I'll take a look here. So I've got this pair, which conveniently pairs up while I put this edge here, right? And then what I see is I've got these two pieces here, so I'm going to have to solve them. In this case, what I can do is I've got this kind of case. So what I can do is if I do M prime first, essentially, and then I do an R wide, it puts this edge here and this corner like this, and then I can insert it like this. Now what I have is I really should learn a good alg for this. I unfortunately have not learned any algs for this. So what I do is I do essentially do this, and then I've got a soon. I mean, something that I could also do is I could do a square OLL case, to get all of the edges oriented. At this point, it's not something that I would really see and solve, so I'll just do a regular soon, like this. And then I've got this. What is this EOLR? Okay, right. So for this case, the EOLR is essentially just go like this, and then you have this kind of crappy case here, like this, with the misoriented centers then. So really, I think I should have done that. The square case probably wouldn't have seen it though. And then in this case, just do a U2 again, because the case is like this. Okay. All right, so now for this scramble here, once again, I look for the 2x1 blocks. In this case, I do have a 2x1 block here. Although in this case, the block is a little bit different. It doesn't have the solved edge connected to the red, but rather it's connected to the color that is not red. So in this case, it's exactly the same thing as an F2L pair for those C-foppers. So it's essentially, yeah, the color at the bottom is red, and so this is just a regular pair. And so what I'm going to be looking for is I'm going to be essentially first solving a cross piece kind of thing, and then essentially be inserting that pair, kind of like in C-fop. So I'll be looking for either the red-blue here or the red-yellow, and I'll be seeing if any of them can be inserted or essentially solved. That one cross piece, if it can be solved using one move, because that is going to be the most efficient thing. And so I'm going to first look at, okay, so this is red-blue is here, the center is here, and so I cannot, what I want to do is I want to match this blue with the blue center, and I cannot do this in one move. I have to do two moves. So I'm going to look at the other one, see if it's a little bit better. In that case, it is. Red-yellow is here. If I wanted to solve red-yellow, what I would do is essentially just from this position, I just do a D2, slide it over, and it is solved. So that is what I will do. So first move will be a D2 from this position. This is solved, and then I have this pair, which is here. And so to solve it, what I have to do is do a U prime, line it here, and then a B move. Okay, so that is going to be very easy. And now I look at the next pair, and then so I have the two pieces are here. I've got one here, red, yellow, green, and then the edge is here, green and yellow. And then I'll look at this. So when I do the D2, it doesn't affect the corner. Only the U prime actually affects the corner. The B prime doesn't. The B does not affect it. So the corner is here. It's going to be red, yellow, green. Okay, and then for this edge here, the only move that affects it is the B move. So because D2 doesn't affect it, U prime. When I do the U prime, it is still here. And then when I do the B move, it will be at this position. And in fact, this is a very, very good case. So I have essentially, so the corner here, red, yellow, green, and then yellow on top, and the green is going to be on top with this edge. Essentially, all I have to do is then R wide prime to connect these two, like this, because these colors, the colors on top are opposite, right? So I can connect them with a R wide move, bringing these two together, and then just do an F prime, and it solves the block. So that is a very, very good first block, very efficient as well. So now I'm going to see if I can track the first edge piece of the second block. So the first one here is red-yellow, so I'm going to be looking at red-white, which is here. And so D2 U prime doesn't affect it. When I do the B, doesn't affect it either. And then the R wide prime doesn't affect it either. And so it just ends up going at this position here. So the red will essentially just be affected here by the F prime, and it will be in this position here. So I know that I have to do an R wide, and then a U prime, and then an R2 to solve it. So that's very, very simple inspection for this one. So we're going to go ahead and solve it. No point in really looking at anything else, because this is obviously going to be the best. I mean, there's nothing else that's obvious, and this is a very good solution, so I highly doubt there'll be anything better. So I'm just going to do the deep D2 here and U prime like this. Notice my hand is in this position, so I can do the B prime here and then R prime like this, F prime like this, and it's really very one nice, very fluid motion. And so what I see here actually is I see these two, which form one pair, right? So I'm going to actually, I'm not just going to do the R2. or yeah, I'm not just going to do the R2 like I would have done, but in fact what I'm going to do is going to R prime, like this, pair these up, and then U prime here, and then I'm going to, essentially, I see this edges here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an R wide as well, because what that does is it puts it in more visible position, essentially, and then I'm going to insert this. And now in this case, I see how these two are, and then so what I would do is I would do like a R prime, M prime at the same time, U2, M2, solves this up here, and then insert the edge like this here, and then I have an CMLL like this, right? And now, is this an EOLL? I think this. Okay, so for this EOLR, if I remember correctly, what you have to do is like this. So essentially, you got these two colors. So I've got the left and right, which are here and here, and the two flipped on top. Stack them, and then just modify these edges here, and then put this one here in the bottom. So I've got these two in the bottom here, and then match it up, put these together like this, and then solve the last three. So that is the last solve of my video. It's already very, very long. Please, if you watch this video and you know anything about Roux, I would very much appreciate commentary. I think that going through inspection the way I did might be a little bit difficult to follow. But when I went through it later on, at least you can see it with the pieces moving. Let me know on what you thought. I think that it is valuable to also go through how the inspection is planned and how pieces are tracked and traced and such. And if you have any comments about the way that I'm doing that as well, please leave them in the comments below. Yeah, so just give as much feedback as possible, or tell me if this helps you in any way, and I would be very happy to hear from you. So that is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.